Hello, Brent and Kyle. How you doing, boys?
Doing good, doing good. How are you, Mike?
It's great to see your smiling faces.
Always,
And and
always.
as and as always, it's great to see you two together. Uh, I'm going to jump right into it. It's interesting because when you go through the history of someone's athletic life, it always seems to start at such a younger age with family. And you guys always grew up playing games together and Thanksgiving football games and the whole family was always involved. Don't you think that gave you kind of a cool foundation to always want to be athletic?
Yeah, it did. It's like with me, I grew up watching all the Braves games, 162 games, and 70 Falcons games a year. So I grew up, in front of a TV, but I really wanted to be out there with my brothers and my family and play with them.
And isn't it amazing how you're able to build that foundation because you do have the family support. Everybody's in it together as one. Do you find that took you all the way to your Ironman finish lines?
Oh, absolutely. And the foundation was laid from the family and from our parents. And when you look at the crew that we travel with to races, it's the same type thing. Everybody's invested in the experience that Kyle's getting and that I'm getting. And I think if you look at all the other athletes that are out there towing the start line, they've probably got similar experiences that their families have, laid the groundwork and the foundation so that they can be doing what we all love to do so much.
Well, you've done and completed four Ironmans together. You're the second wheelchair team to finish Kona. But it all started in 2011 with your first triathlon at St. Anthony's down there in Florida. And it looked like the bike weighed 1,000 pounds. The boat looked like it could carry six people in it. Tell us about that first experience at your first try.
It's funny now because we could never pull it off now having figured some things out, but you look back and it was one of the most incredible days we'd ever experienced because we experienced it together. There was no rule changes or anything, but the bike those years had 8 gears on it, and with Kyle and I on it weighed about 400 pounds. But our goal was always for Kyle to be on the front of the bike. We wanted him to experience it just like every other cyclist. So like I said, I don't think we could do that again today, but in 2011, it just seemed like the greatest and easiest thing that we'd ever done together.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we didn't
you're
really
too
have
old
like
now.
all the technology that we do now. So we just wanted to get out there and race. And I don't think that we would have been able to do Kona or any of the other Ironmans with that bike in 2011 because it was a big piece of it
That's a big piece. That's it.
yeah.
Well, then to move forward to 2013, guys, when I had the honor of bringing you through that finish line at Ironman Wisconsin. And the world really didn't know that much about the Peace brothers. Obviously, we knew when you were there and you were coming on in, but to be able to cross your very first Ironman finish line, did you really think it was possible?
Not until we hit that carpet, and well, maybe Kyle did, but I mean, I remember being in the hotel the night before, and I was panicked about the bike cutoff, and I just was so nervous that we weren't going to get there, and it was still in that year the bike was 375, and it was just in the back of my head, and so for me, when I hit the carpet, that's when the reality started to set in and the excitement started to build that we were finally there, that we had finally made it to this goal that we had been chasing from the first race.
Yeah, I think Mike, the bike is always our greatest equalizer. So we always look at the swim and the bike, and then when we get to the run, it's kind of a celebration and focus on getting to hear your voice. So yeah, that's how we always look at it.
Well, Kyle, I read in your book, you said every day is an Ironman for you. And you've had struggles in life that so many people just don't have, and you've pushed through them. But that quote to me was so powerful that every day is an Ironman for you.
every day with the unique challenges, but I focus on the foundation of my family, of Brett, and everybody that taking my life, and I want to look at it as a positive and show the world that anything is possible.
That's a beautiful attitude, and that's why you are where you are today, and why I think the big reason that you two made it to that big island, to the big dance, and Brent, you said you were nervous, before Wisconsin. I can't imagine your nerves of trying to get off that bike before the cutoff in Kona. Tell us about that.
Well, we weren't sure, there's been other teams that have attempted and tried. And so we felt like it might be our only opportunity. So I was shaking in transition. I've never experienced that. I mean, we talk about all the time about Kyle being an athlete and experiencing this, but I've never experienced sports at that level. I wasn't the best or fastest or strongest, growing up. And so Kyle brought me to the big island, and I just remember sitting in transition shaking, and we weren't speaking to each other. It was so intense, and getting out in the water and hearing your voice, and we still couldn't calm down, and really until that gun went off. And it was almost like we didn't feel like we belonged until we started swimming, and then it started clicking, and everything kind of came together, and the nerves started to evaporate. And when we hit Javi, it was like, we can do this. We're going to make it. We had built a spreadsheet with our coach. We had this whole matrix. We knew all the different times we could get to Javi and still make the bike cutoff, because it was a swim bike race in Hawaii for us. Once we got through the bike, we knew we could get through a marathon, if that is something you can say. So we were pretty nervous the whole week, and certainly on Saturday.
Well, you had that mantra, that little kid's mantra from the little engine that could. And I've done it so many times, and I know so many people had, I think I can, I think I can. And you were actually chanting that to each other going up to Javi, weren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Over and over. It was like it was the right broken record that I needed. And Kyle's figured out the sport along the way. He's a talented and tenacious athlete, but he's smart. So we've got a bike computer for him, and he's looking at the watts and the heart rate, and he could see we were struggling, and so instinctively he just started chanting at me. And that climb took us almost 2 hours, or that 19-mile stretch from Waikoloa up to Javi. And that's brutal. That's mind-numbing to be in that heat and exposed for 2 hours like that. So I would say Kyle for almost an hour just sat there chanting at me over and over until we got to the turnaround.
Yeah, I kind of took a break from that book for a little while because it was so ingrained in my head. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. So really, I wanted to vomit when we turned around because I would say that so much.
A lot of athletes I've talked to, when they're going through struggles, they get emotional. They bring out some emotions inside of them that they normally wouldn't in everyday daily life. And you guys actually had conversations with one another. I mean, Brent, you asked Kyle, do you love me? And Kyle asked you, do you love Erica, your wife? And they were, pretty deep questions between two brothers that don't happen every day. Why do you think that came out of you guys?
I asked the same question, Mike. Well, here we are in the middle of the World Championship, and he's asking me a very deep question. But I think that's our bond. We can talk about anything, whether it's on the race course or whether it's off the race course. And that day, I think our love carried us to the finish line, and I think we just talked about it all day and focused on our love and our determination and our dedication to one another.
It's brutal out there in the World Championships. It's the hardest race that we've ever experienced together because of the conditions, because of the gravity of the moment, and it's the World Championships, the thing that we've been dreaming about since our first triathlon. And in those moments, I was just searching for other things instead of just chanting at me all the way up the hill. Tell me something that you think about, those deep thoughts that you have. You really want to get to know somebody, go ride a bike with them. And we were on the bike for over 8 hours together, and just hearing some of those things kind of reinforced, and you could feel, your heart start to swell, the legs start to churn again. And, Kyle kind of chuckles about it now, because it's like, why are you asking me this? We've got, 50 some odd miles to get to the cutoff. But at the same time, he could see, me churning the pedals and pushing harder. And it became this, powerful motivator between us.
Well, it's a beautiful thing. And all siblings, brothers and sisters should have a bond like that. And you make me want to call my brothers and sisters when I get off this call. That's for sure. You said that you give Kyle your legs and he gives you his spirit. Explain what that's all about.
I can give Kyle all the physical tools that I have, but it's really hard carrying a human being for 140.6 miles. It's hard. So I need more than just the physical tools that I have, and the mental side of it, grinding for 8 hours plus on a bike, it just wears on you mentally. And so to have that positivity that you just heard from Kyle, who goes through an Ironman every day, to have him bring that out in every possible way, whether it's chanting, whether it's talking about our brotherly bond, whether it's screaming at me, whatever it is, that energy, I need it tenfold. In fact, one of the things I said to Kyle before the Ironman World Championship started is, I said, Kyle, being your brother is one of the greatest joys of my life. And I promise you that I'll give you every ounce of my energy today, but I need you to do the same. And I actually was crying in the water, which is perfect right before the start of an Ironman. And Kyle looked at me with this fierce determination, and he just said, "You got it." And that was like, it clicked. It was like, okay, we can do this. Somebody fire the cannon. We got to go. We got to go.
Yeah, that is, you're tearing me up, guy. You wrote in your book, you guys have a fantastic book. It's just beyond the finish. Your story is chronicled in there. And in chapter 5 and chapter 15, chapter 5, Kyle, you wrote, life doesn't happen as you plan. And these are so evident in our times of today. And then you said predestined conditions don't ever dictate the outcome of the final chapter. Isn't it amazing, Kyle, that you wrote stuff that can be messages for everybody today on what we're going through?
Yeah, I really believe that. I think this time has taught me a lot about myself and about me and Brett's relationship. But I also draw upon the Ironman, all my experiences with all of our races. It gets the whole mindset that anything is possible. So yes, we're gonna have our good days and we're gonna have our bad days, but let's focus on what we have, and that's Brett and I and our love for one another.
So Brent, what advice would you give? You've gone through some highs and lows of your athletic career together with your brother, but obviously it's improved you. You'd be the first to say improved you as a human, as an individual. What advice would you give to all your fellow athletes out there in our world going through the tough times of today?
I mean, I think it's always been all about the journey. When Kyle and I sit here and talk about whether it's the Ironman World Championships or Ironman Wisconsin or just the local 5K we've run with friends and family, it's always been the journey. And it started with our parents. It started doing sports as kids. And, that's what we think about when we're out there. And so it's easy to think about the finish line. It's easy to think, when is this all going to be over? When will it be easy? But if you remember, you've struggled through so much, you've worked hard through so much, and you've smiled through so much. And so if you can just focus on that daily journey, that the reward will be there at the end. And that's what Kyle and I always think about. Kona was that for us. It was disappointment after disappointment when we didn't get in or we didn't get that opportunity. And when we finally realized that it was so much more than that it was just sharing this experience together day in and day out, that was when we let go and it finally came to us. And so stay focused, enjoy the journey, because the smiles come at the end.
And at the beginning of the broadcast, I talked about family, your family, and that great unit that built your foundation. And now, Uncle Kyle, you've got two niece and a nephew, Brent, and you're being able to pay that forward to to a younger generation. That's got to feel so good.
It does. It does. I'm so fortunate that my family has given me so much, and they allow me to have all these experiences. And I just want to show the next generation that anything is possible. And I think that's a testament to my will and my desire to keep pushing forward despite the obstacles.
Brent, you know that your kids are going to want to sit with Kyle the next time you guys do a race.
We before this all started, we did a practice run before the pandemic started, and my son Henry climbed into Kyle's chair after we got him out because he wanted to be like Uncle Kyle, and that was pretty fun for me to watch as a parent because you would maybe think he'd see me pushing the chair and he'd say, I want to run or I want to do what all the other guys are doing. But what he saw was Kyle, and that was the experience that he wanted to share. And so that was pretty cool for Uncle Kyle to see and realize that he's got he's already a hero to a 2-year-old boy. But they also see inclusion every day, and they see that people like Kyle are just as good, and in fact, in many times, 10 times better at living and loving and everything.
Well, you two, because of your bond, have lived a great life thus far. The future, I think, holds many incredible things for both of you and your entire family. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of our sport, for being a big part of our sport, and being a influence to hundreds of thousands of people who may not be able to get off the couch. And just your presence is getting them off the couch to become better humans. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Take care, guys. Aloha, and I can't wait to see you at the next finish line.
Can't wait to be there with you, Mike.
Can't wait.
Okay.